Hello friend, I am Professor Smita Jha and I am here to discuss with you various aspects of research methodology. Well, as per the topic, different aspects shifts in research methodology. Let us discuss that. What do we mean by research methodology? The main aim of research is not merely to gather information. In fact, it goes beyond that. The true goal of research is to seek answers to previously unanswered questions, to contribute to the body of knowledge in a discipline, but for your peers and indeed the whole world to recognize your newly discovered or created knowledge. Now, you as a researcher have to show evidence of its validity or truthfulness. Before conducting research in any field, researcher must understand the different basic concepts used in research methodology. Now, determining the validity of your study is anchored on your research paper's methodology. According to Somik and Lewis 2005, a research methodology is both the collection of methods or rule you apply to your research, as well as the principles, theories, and values that support your research approach. Simply put, a research paper's methodology section must shed light on how you were able to collect or generate your research data and demonstrate how you analyze them. Now, methodology in research is defined as the systematic method to resolve a research problem through data gathering using various techniques, providing an interpretation of data gathered, and drawing conclusions about the research data. Essentially, a research methodology is the blueprint of a research or a study. As such, the methodology in research proposal is of utmost importance. Now, the point is to know methodology versus methods. These two are very important aspects of research methodology. The confusion between methodology and methods in research is a common occurrence, especially with the terms sometimes being used interchangeably. Methods and methodology in the context of research refer to two related but different things. Method is the technique used in gathering evidence. Methodology, on the other hand, is the underlying theory and analysis of how a research does or should proceed. Similarly, methodology as a set of principles and ideas that inform the design of a research study. Meanwhile, methods are practical procedures used to generate and analyze data. Methodological approach or methods used in research should be clear in the eyes of the researcher. So now that you know what is methodology in research, the next step is to identify the different methods used in research. Traditionally, researchers often approach research studies using the methodology research institution typically use, which are two distinct paradigms, namely positivistic and phenomenological. Also sometimes called qualitative and quantitative, positivistic and phenomenological approaches play a significant role in determining your data gathering process, especially the methods you are going to use in your research. It is also worth noting that when it comes to primary versus secondary research methods, there are significant differences that you need to consider. In research, there are two fundamental methods used, either quantitative and qualitative research methods. Even if you take the path of a philosophy career, these are still methods that you may encounter and even use. Research methodology plays a crucial role in the academic and professional fields, providing structured processes to gather, analyze, and interpret data. This methodology is foundational for developing accurate, reliable, and valid conclusions, especially in a diverse country like India, where multiple disciplines and industries apply it rigorously. As we explore the various facets of research methodology, we will delve into its definitions, types, processes, objectives, and scope. each section is tailored to offer insight and in-depth understanding, equipping scholars and professionals with the tool needed to conduct thorough research. Now, research methodology refers to the systematic analysis of methods applied to a field. It comprises the theoretical analysis of the methods and principles associated with a branch of knowledge. It implies the applications of various techniques and methods to gather empirical data and significant information at a broader level. The methodology not only helps researchers gather data effectively, but also helps them make logical conclusions through qualitative and quantitative research techniques. Understanding the fundamental nature of research methodology is essential for scholars to design, process, and evaluate their studies effectively. Research methodology refers to the practical how of a research study. More specifically, it is about how a researcher systematically designs a study to ensure valid and reliable results that address the research aims, objectives, and research questions. Specifically, how the researcher went about deciding what type of data to collect, qualitative or quantitative, what to collect it from, the sampling strategy, how to collect it, the data collection method, and how to analyze the data analysis method. Importantly, a good methodology process explains not just what methodological choices were made, but also why they were made. In other words, the methodology chapter should justify the design choices by showing that the chosen methods and techniques are the best fit for the research aims, objectives, and research questions. As we mentioned, research methodology refers to the collection of practical decisions regarding what resources you will collect, from whom, how you will collect it, and how you will analyze it. Research design, on the other hand, is more about the overall strategy you will adopt it in your study. For example, whether you will use an experimental design in which you manipulate one variable while controlling others. In a thesis, dissertation, academic journal article, or other formal pieces of research, there are often details of how the researcher approached the study and the methods and techniques they used. If you are designing a research study, then it may be helpful to understand what research methodology is and the selection of techniques and tools available to you. Research methodology is a way of explaining how a researcher intends to carry out their research. It is a logical, systematic plan to resolve a research problem. A methodology details a researcher's approach to the research to ensure reliable, valid results that address their aims and objectives. It encompasses what data they are going to collect and where from, as well as how it's being collected and analyzed. Now, this is high time to know the types of research methodology. When designing a research methodology, a researcher has several decisions to make. One of the most important is which data methodology to use, qualitative, quantitative, or a combination of the two. No matter the type of research, the data gathered will be as numbers of descriptions, and researchers can choose to focus on collecting words, numbers, or both. Qualitative research, this is very important aspect or types of research and involves non-numeric data collection and analysis methods. Techniques such as interviews, focus group, the ethnographic research fall under qualitative research, which emphasizes understanding the phenomenon through depth over breadth. Quantitative research involves numerical data. It uses statistical, mathematical, or computational techniques to analyze data. Its main goal is to determine patterns and averages, make predictions, test causal relationship, and generalize results to wider population. Mixed method research methodology combines both qualitative and quantitative research. The rationale is to benefit from the strength of both methods while neutralizing their weaknesses, thus providing a more comprehensive analysis of the research topic. Further, descriptive research methodology considered a preliminary research phase. This method describes the characteristics of a population or phenomenon being studied. It does not answer questions about how, when, why the characteristics occurred, which are left for further research. Experimental research is used to establish cause and effect relationship between variables. It involves control tests and experiments that manipulates one variable, independent variable, to see the effect on another variable, dependent variable. Correlational research, unlike experimental research, it studies the relationship between two or more variables without attribute causation. This method is used to find trends or patterns. Longitudinal research involves repeated observation of the same variables over a long period. Psychology, sociology, and medicine often use it to study long-term trends and effects. Cross-sectional research studies a particular phenomenon or elements of it at a single point in time. The snapshot provides insight into the variables at their specific point, while action research designed to effect direct changes. Action research involves interactive cycle of planning, acting, observing, and reflecting to improve practices and methods. Now, let us know qualitative research methodology, which involves collecting and analyzing written or spoken words and textual data. It may also focus on body language or visual elements and help to create a detailed description of a researcher's observation. Researchers usually gather qualitative data through interviews, observation, and focus groups using a few careful chosen participation. This research methodology is subjective and more time consuming than using quantitative data. Researchers often use a qualitative methodology when the aims and objectives of the research are exploratory. For example, when they perform research to understand human perception regarding an event, person, or product. While in this, researchers usually use a quantitative methodology when the objective of the research is to confirm something. It focuses on collecting, testing, and measuring numerical data, usually from a large sample of participation. They then analyze the data using a statistical analysis and comparisons. Popular methods used to gather quantitative data are surveys, questionnaires, tests, databases, organizational records. How is quantitative analysis different from qualitative analysis? Qualitative and quantitative analysis represent different methods of data collection, identification, and processing. The main defining factor between them is what they seek to determine. Quantitative analysis explains what happened, while qualitative explains why events occur. Quantitative research methodology is objective and is often quicker as researchers use software programs when analyzing the data. An example of how researchers could use a quantitative methodology is to measure the relationship between two variables or test a set of hypotheses. Now, the conceptual differences refer to what a specific type of analysis does. Now, here I am going to discuss some conceptual differences between quantitative and qualitative method. Quantitative data analysis focus on facts. Quantitative data analysis assumes reality is measurable. Qualitative data analysis seeks to understand the reason for a behavior. Qualitative data analysis assumes reality is always changing and includes several variables that are hard to measure with numbers. Functional differences. Functional differences are differences in methodology, and here are some functional differences between quantitative and qualitative analysis. Quantitative research collects data through measurement. Quantitative analysis predicts outcome using values and a statistical method. Quantitative analysis reports data in statistical values. Qualitative research collects data through observation and interview technique. Qualitative analysis predict outcome using information collected in interview and surveys. Qualitative analysis report data by conveying information using language and description. This contemporary research methodology combines quantitative and qualitative approaches to provide additional perspective, create a richer picture, and present multiple findings. The quantitative methodology provides definitive facts and figure, while the qualitative provides a human aspects. This methodology can produce interesting result as it presents exact data while also being exploratory. A contemporary method is sprung from the combination of traditional quantitative and qualitative approaches. The existence of the mixed methods approach stemmed from its potential to help researchers view social relations and their intricacies clearer by fusing together the quantitative and qualitative methods of research while recognizing the limitations of both at the same time. Now, common data collection methods. Once a researcher has finalized their population sample, they need to decide how to collect data. There are several options for data collection, and the best research method to use will depend on the research topic, methodology, type of data, and population sample. Although there are many ways to collect data, people often broadly group them in these ways. Like interviews, researchers can carry out interviews in a structured, semi-structured, or unstructured format depending on how formal the questions are. Surveys can be online or in person and have either free answer essay style questions or closed multiple choice style questions. Depending on the data required, a survey could also use a mixture. Focus groups, interviewees give their thoughts, opinion, perspective, and perception on specific topics. A moderator usually leads the group to help guide the discussion and ensure everyone has a chance to share their thoughts. Direct observation involves observing the spontaneous behavior of participants without interference from the researcher, while participant observation is more structured and the researcher interacts with the participants. Documents and records. Researchers collect data such as published reports and official documents of international bodies, government agencies, or private institutes, and internal records such as employees, payroll, raw material, quantities, and cash receipt. Common data analysis method. Well, researchers use different data analysis method depending on whether the data is qualitative or quantitative. Like for example, qualitative data is usually a spoken or written information such as interview transcripts, video and audio recordings, notes, images, text documents. Qualitative data analysis involves identifying common patterns in participants' responses and critically analyzing them to achieve research aims and objectives. The most commonly used qualitative data analysis method are content analysis. This is one of the most common method used to analyze document information and is usually used to analyze interviewees' responses. Narrative analysis is researchers use this method to analyze content from several sources, including interviews, observations, surveys. It focuses on using people's stories and experiences to answer research questions. Discourse analysis analyzes a spoken or written language in its social context and aims to understand how people use language in day-to-day situation. Now, grounded theory uses qualitative data to discover or construct a theory explaining why something happened. It uses a comparative analysis of data from similar cases in different settings to derive explanation. Quantitative data analysis involves turning numbers into meaningful data by applying rational and critical thinking. Most researchers use analytical software to assist with qualitative data analysis. The first stage in analyzing quantitative data is validating, editing, and coding the data. Once completed, the data is ready for analysis. And the most commonly quantitative data analysis methods are descriptive analysis, that is mean, median, mode, percentage, frequency, and range to find pattern, and inferential analysis that shows the relationship between multiple variables using correlation, regression, and variance analysis. Now, there are factors to consider when choosing a research methodology. Well, consider the research project objective. When researchers know what information they require at the end of the project to meet their objectives, it helps them select the correct methodology and research method. Now, significance of this statistic is that it is yet another factor to consider is whether you require concise data-driven research results and a statistical answer, or whether the research questions require an understanding of regions, perceptions, opinions, and motivation. Well, if the aims and objectives are exploratory, the research will probably require qualitative data collection methods. However, if the aims of objectives are to measure or test something, the research will require quantitative data collection method. Now, sample size is very important. How big does the sample need to be to answer the research question and meet the objective? The sample size can determine your data gathering methods and the time available, which is very important if there are time constraints. Consider techniques like random or convenience sampling and tools that allow for data collection in a few days. If there is more time available for data collection, in-person interviews and observations are possible. Why is a research methodology is important? That is the moot point. A research methodology gives research legitimacy and provides scientifically sound findings. It also provides a detailed plan that helps to keep researchers on track, making the process smooth, effective, and manageable. A researcher's methodology allows the reader to understand the approach and methods used to reach conclusion. Now, having a sound research methodology in place provide these benefits. Other researchers who want to replicate the research have enough information to do so. Researchers who receive criticism can refer to the methodology and explain their approach. It can help provide researcher with a specific plan to follow throughout their research. The methodology design process helps researchers select the correct methods of the objective. It allows researchers to document what they intend to achieve with the research from the outset. Now, the 6 basic research methods while collecting information: social surveys, interviews, experiments, ethnography, longitudinal study, and participant observation. So, why there should be objective of research methodology? One of the primary objective is to provide a systematic framework that guides the entire research process from start to finish. This ensures that the study remains on track and is conducted systematically. By adhering to a structured methodology, researchers can minimize biases and errors, thus enhancing the accuracy of the result. Employing standardized methods enhances the reliability of the research findings, allowing others to replicate the study under similar conditions. To facilitate peer review, a well-defined methodology allows peers evaluate the research for its validity and reliability, which is crucial for its acceptance and credibility. And also employing standardized methods enhances the reliability of the research findings, allowing others to replicate the study under similar conditions. Any research aims to provide insights and a deeper understanding of the topic being studied. The right methodology is crucial in achieving this objective. effectively. Now, these objectives underscore the importance of research methodology in conducting and evaluating effective research. With this, I conclude the part that is research methodology. Let us meet in another session with another topic. Thank you.